Chapter 11. My second day of school was much the same as the first, except for a few small details. Father decided he didn't need to accompany me, so I rode my bicycle alone. Homeroom was similar. We had another discussion about respect. Literacy was a little different. We read another short story by the same author, a story involving the guilt of a murderer. The day got much more interesting in life science. Mrs. Hinckley was explaining more about trees and how many have adapted to different ways of life, especially in the wake of the changing climate of the last few centuries. Like much of the world, our average temperature has steadily increased.
Before these changes, the deciduous trees would undergo an annual change. In the spring, they would bud and grow leaves. These leaves would be green until mid-autumn, when they would lose the green chlorophyll, letting their true colors show through before they fell to the ground. This happened because the temperatures dropped to a certain level, letting the trees know it was time to hibernate. The dropping of the leaves helped the trees to conserve energy.
As she paused for a moment, I imagined what trees might have been like in those times.
Now, however, these changes no longer occur. It is warm enough year-round for the trees to keep their leaves. We almost never see a day where the temperature drops below 10 degrees. Snow falls once every few years, but it never accumulates on the ground.
Again, she paused for effect.
What do you think have been some of the consequences of this climate change for our trees?
She looked around the room, and I did as well. It was obvious that none of us had any idea how to answer her question.
If the trees didn't take any time to rest, wouldn't they have more time to grow? But if they didn't take any time to rest, would they still be healthy? Didn't the Creator make them the way they were for a reason?
I raised my hand and voiced my thoughts to the class. Mrs. Hinckley listened attentively, but the class snickered at my mention of our Creator, just as my literacy classmates had the day before.
Whoa! Look at that, people. We finally got someone who's not afraid to make a hypothesis. Thank you, Corban, for sharing. Now, we may not all be able to agree on the rationale behind your hypothesis. Trees were made a certain way for a specific reason, but it's a hypothesis all the same. You're thinking about cause and effect like a true scientist.
She was really worked up over all of this. Her face had flushed, and she was holding her side like she'd had a stitch from running all over the city.
So, ladies and gentlemen, how could we go about designing an experiment to test Corban's hypotheses?
Hypotheses, Mrs. Hinckley?
Yes, hypotheses, Sarah, as in more than one. Number 1. The trees are growing faster because they have no rest time in the winter. Number 2. If they are growing faster and have no rest time like they always had in the past, would they still be healthy? Would there be adverse effects to the constant growth?
The boy next to Sarah raised his hand.
Yes, Henri.
Well, you explained last week about the need for a control in an experiment. If you change a variable to test in an experiment, the control needs to stay the same. How can we have a control to test against if all the trees are different now?
Now you're thinking, Henri, that's exactly right. All the trees are different now, so how can we compare their growth now to how they grew in the past? Use your imagination. Class!
We all thought for a while. She had stumped us. Finally, I blurted out in frustration.
How could we know how trees grew before we were born? Probably before you were even born, ma'am.
Why? We can just hop in our time machine and visit the past to find out.
She wildly waved her hands and gestured to the door at the back of her classroom, which was, as far as I knew, just a small closet in the back of her classroom.
We have a time machine?
No! See you late! Time machines still only exist in science fiction novels, so we'll have to rely on records kept in the past. By next week, I'll have the appropriate records of growth for each type of tree growing in the area. Tomorrow, I will be splitting you up into pairs. Each pair will choose a few species of tree to study over the remainder of the year. You'll record tree circumference as well as a few other types of data each week. Then we'll compare that data to those contained in past records to see if trees are in fact growing faster than they did in the past.
She smiled, returned to sit at her desk, and drank liberally from her water bottle. Shortly, the bell rang, and we got up to collect our bags to leave.
I'll assign you partners tomorrow, and we'll go over your responsibilities then. And Corban, wait one moment, please.
I was happy to do so, until I locked eyes with the girl from the front. Sarah, I think her name was. She looked genuinely concerned for me, which started me worrying. After the last of the students left, she closed the door behind them. Upon seeing the concern on my face, she smiled and chuckled.
Don't worry, Corban, you're not in trouble, not yet anyway. Firstly, I wanted to say, I appreciate how engaged you've been in my class, and only after 2 days. Most students your age have already begun to grow out of their natural curiosity from childhood. Hold on to that for as long as you can. That curiosity in an individual makes for a fantastic scientist, and if I might be so bold to claim, a successful adult in any profession.
Yes, ma'am. Mother has told me something similar on more than one occasion. She said, I'm a natural scientist because I make observations and wonder about them. She's the one that taught me math and science at home.
Well, I sure hope I get the chance to thank her someday for the terrific work she did with you. I also wanted to share some advice with you. Just hear me out until the end before you respond. I wish all my students knew their creator the way I do, the way you seem to, Corban. Especially as one who studies the sciences and the whole wide world, I have such an appreciation for his creation, how he made everything in such a complex manner. Yet he still cares for each and every one of us. That's part of my job, though not in my contract, to introduce students to all the wonders and marvels of creation. Now, I admire your desire to do the same thing. But these days, if you haven't figured it out yet, many people don't want to hear about him, regardless of his great love for us. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Do you understand what that means, Corban?
I thought back to the day before.
Yesterday, Mr. Delacroix asked me to leave my bag with him to use the restroom. I hadn't wanted to do it because my bag was new. I didn't know him, but I trusted him because he was a teacher, so I did what he asked.
That's getting to it. Almost no one trusts other people implicitly, without questioning it, the way you do. Especially youth your age. Their trust must be earned, even by people who have authority, like teachers or city patrollers. What I'm saying is, if you don't have a relationship with someone, they probably won't care what you have to say, especially if it goes against what they already believe. That means you could go around all morning telling your peers all our Creator has done for you, and they won't care. Do you understand why?
I wasn't sure I did, but I nodded anyway. I would wait until later to think about this more.
It's good you trust people, Corban, but you should take a look at who you trust. It's good to trust those you should, but unfortunately, there are many people in this world you shouldn't trust. Best you remember that, yes?
I nodded again.
Now, you need to be getting to your next class, and I need to let my next class in. Let me know if you have more questions. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.